on the far side of town, sharing a dream with anyone. She's made it through heaven, she's made it through hell. It's just another story to tell. Have you ever felt you're missing the dream? Have you ever wished your life was like the movie on the screen? Filled with heartbreaks and fights through Hollywood nights. Making up a bar queen on the phone in the great big boulevard, the place she belongs. It's just another story she tells. Have you ever felt you're missing the dream? Have you ever wished your life was like the movie on the screen? Filled with heartbreaks and fights through Hollywood nights. Through Hollywood nights. Through Hollywood nights. Stay muted, stay filling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay muted, stay filling. It's BV, it's BV, BV, it's BV,
Yeah.
it's BV, it's BV, it's BV.
From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. Hey yo, heart of a villain beats hard in the centrifuge. Bearded BP, 100 interviews. All it takes is 2 mics and 1 line. This is Bearded Villains podcast worldwide. Driving cross countries, getting ball tires. Fam across ponds, always inspired. Chapters connect, and then it's on fire. Check your phone, just BV is like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do it. From the start to the finish, go hard and we win. It's the heart of a villain.
Hello,
It's the heart of a
everybody, and welcome to another Friday night edition of the Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the Bearded Villains Worldwide Brotherhood. Yeah, it is Friday night. It's a gloomy, cloudy, rainy night here in northern Indiana. I don't know what it's like in your part of the world, but after a couple of decent days, it just got yucky out. And I like the days as this time of year starts to roll around where I've got a couple windows over here, down here in the basement studio that I can actually see out. And when I can see daylight and it's nice, especially even this time of year, it's, it's refreshing, but everything is dark out those windows right now. It's not that pleasant to look at. But hey, it is a Friday night edition, and this is episode 213 on April 26th. I'm slightly distracted because I've got the last 30 seconds of a basketball game going on over here. They got the NBA draft going on as well tonight. I'm not really paying that close attention to it because I don't think my team is really doing anything worthwhile. So, what are we going to do? Well, hey guys, tonight we're going to do. I'm going to bring back our Villains Around the World segment because we've got some chapters to talk about, some cool stuff they got going on. I've got 2 new chapter merch items to add to my list. and we're gonna probably call it a night a little bit early tonight. We'll see where the conversation takes us and see how things go. But anybody that's in the comment section here live with us, they want to join in with us on what's going on, or join in the conversation. That's all great. My question, or not so much my question, is it feels like a lot of times lately, over the last what is it, not two, probably close to 4 to 6 weeks, lots of stuff, and you could call it whatever you want. I'll just say stuff going on in BV circles, and you never know. It seems like week to week, one week to another, what thing is going to happen, what shoe's going to drop, what bomb is going to hit. What you just don't know. And so some other stuff hit this week, and I feel like at times we're living in the middle of a soap opera. I don't even feel like, some people would say in a bad reality show, but it's not even that. It feels like it's in a soap opera sometimes, right? So I just want to address a few little tidbits. I don't want to go too in depth on getting into the crazy conversations that are going to annoy or aggravate or piss off or whatever else, brothers. But that it kind of gets to that heart and of what that is. So we'll talk about a little bit of that. So yeah. But other than that, we've got some cool stuff going on with chapters out there. They're doing some good works. Because I haven't really had a chance to mention anything in the last couple of weeks, I'm going back all the way to the weekend of, I believe, April 13th. So going back a couple weekends, and we'll be able to share, we'll be able to celebrate some of the cool stuff. And what I love about it is some of these things are just tiny little things that our chapters are doing, but I'm okay with it. And I love it, really. I love it. I love the fact that our chapters are able to celebrate the little stuff that goes on. So let's do that. The first thing I'm going to do is let's get into some chapter merch, and let's talk about the cool things that we've got. A couple cool merch items that we've got. But first, I want to say hi to the people that are here hanging out with us tonight on a Friday night. Guys, you guys have a million other things you could be doing, right? And I cannot find my mouse. There it is. I'm looking all over, like I'm looking up in the air for it. Buddy's hanging out with us. He says, "Evening, fellas. Good evening." You guys could choose to do anything else on a Friday night, and most should, really. But I appreciate y'all being here. Chef says, "Rainy but pleasant evening here." Yes. Good to see you. Mike, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you hanging out with us as well. Mr. Ramsey's also here hanging out with us. I know there's some other people behind the scenes and back in the background. Raymond, 636, says, "Good evening, everyone," from Pixie. I know that there's people hanging out in the back that usually don't talk, and that's all fine and well. Dapper Dan's hanging out with us as well. But yeah, so I appreciate everybody that does find some time to hang out with us on a Friday night, because like I said, I know there's a million other things you could be doing. But hey, we're gonna get into a little bit of a conversation, I think, if we can. So merch, let's get into that merch. Got a couple things. First off, I have to re-mention, because had some other questions about this, but yes, it's true. They are back. Bearded Villains Northern Indiana, our cross scythes pin, 1.75 inches of beauty across. It's a beautiful thing. It is polished silver metal, $12. Available at bvnorthernindiana.org. Anybody that is waiting on orders currently right now, if there's any outstanding orders that have not shipped, they will be shipping within the next day or two. So just FYI, if you're waiting on anything from Laura, if you're waiting from anything from Northern Indiana right now, any patches or pins or whatever, they should be shipping out in the next day or two. So that's the status of that. What else we got on tap? Hey, are you down in Old number 7, right? They've got new merch coming out for Knox Villains, and this T-shirt is pretty badass. It's got Smoky Mountain across their X Factor on the backside, and it's got a really cool logo on the front. Prices vary between $20 and $30. The pre-sale, this is a pre-sale, ends May 15th, but it's their Knox Villains number 7 shirt. Very cool shirt. Go out and grab one of those. I don't have the size potential for you, but as it fits, usually there's between sizes up to size at least 4, usually maybe even 5. So lots of options out there. But go over there and grab one of these things. Help the Smoky Mountain Boys out. Prepping for Knox Villains, number 7. And then finally, I also have, this came across my little interwebs, the Czech Republic. We don't see too many of any items from the guys, the Czech Republic here in the States, but their 2nd anniversary patch is now available. I don't have the specifics of the pricing on that, but I did see it, so I wanted to share it. So if you're interested, get out there and grab one of these patches from the Czech Republic. If you're stateside, we love supporting our international brothers, and so these don't usually come across over here in the States too often. So get out there and grab one of these if you can. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So I want to. Look at that. Hey, I love it. I love it when our viewers live tell us what's up. Regarding the Knox Villain shirts, I think he's saying youth extra small to adult 6X, including talls. Wow. And I messed up the description. He said, whoops. Says X Factor on the front, design on the back. Okay, well, that makes more sense than what I said. But yeah, very, very cool. Hey, great to hear. So no matter what size you are, there is a patch, or there is a shirt for you there for that Knox Villains presale. So go out there and grab one. Help the boys out raising some money. So let's see here. I want to get into the Villains Around the World segment and talk about some of the cool things that our villain chapters are doing right now, and then we'll just get into whatever else our fancy is, right? All right, let's do it. Stream. Whoa, what do we got going here? We got all sorts of camera things going now. Let's see. Let's get back to this. And let's go here. My buttons ain't be working on me. Well, that's not supposed to happen. Well, let's try this. Villains Around the World thing tonight. No intro, but that's it. All right. I love it when technology just takes a dump on you, right? You have everything planned out and it takes a dump. So this is the Villains Around the World segment for the 26th of April, 2024. On April 13th, the Bearded Villains Indiana chapter took part once again in the MS Walk in Indianapolis, Indiana. They raised over $3,500 to help fight MS. They've been a team leader, a top fundraising team there with the MS Walk in Indianapolis for the last few years. So big congrats to the boys at Bearded Villains Indiana for making a difference fighting MS. Very cool to see. Awesome news. Hey, them Smoky Mountain Villains, them Smoky Mountain Boys that we mentioned, doing some stuff for the Isaiah 117 house. On April 13th, Smoky Mountain Villains took to the Isaiah 117 house to, and I have to preface this and say this is directly quoted from their Instagram page. They took to the Isaiah 117 house to help pluck, pull, plant, and make the landscaping purdy. Purdy. Great job, Smoky Mountain Boys. Awesome to see. Making a difference, man. Making a difference. And I know they they have a great relationship with the Isaiah 117 house. So very, very cool to see. Next up, BV Alberta. BV Alberta. Now, this is just kind of a FYI if you're interested in helping the boys out. But BV Alberta is, again, raising money for Steps for Life, raising money for families affected by workplace tragedy. If you would like to assist them in raising money for Steps for Life, reach out to the Bearded Villain Alberta chapter for further information. Good to see. Love it when our boys are out there making a difference. Hey, next up, BV Ontario Southwest. Last weekend, Bearded Villains Ontario Southwest came together for St. Catherine's Community, making 100 bagged lunches, including ham sandwiches, water, bananas, snacks, and socks. Socks. While most of the bags went to the St. Catherine's Community, any remaining supplies were donated to help those in need in the Brantford community. Special thanks, they say, to their spouses, queens, and young volunteers for helping out. BV Ontario Southwest, great job, gentlemen, and young ones, and spouses and queens for helping out. Good to see. I love it, love it, love it. It's these things that make a big difference in people's lives, for sure. And then finally up tonight, I have from the Bearded Villains Welsh chapter, BV Wales. Last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I believe it was, they had their annual charity hike, as we refer to it, right? It's their second year that the Welsh chapter has done this. It's a group of 9 brothers that tackled Wales' highest mountain called Snowdon, which stands at 1,085 meters high, in support of the Trussell Trust, whose network of food banks in Wales provide emergency food and support to people in crisis. This is an event that is growing in popularity, and brothers from the London chapter and Lakeside chapters joined them this year for the 9-mile hike in challenging weather conditions. They said, think about 50-mile-an-hour winds, sideways rain, and dense cloud cover. They've actually got video on their IG page from some of the walk, and you can see some of the weather conditions. That was awesome. Despite these horrendous conditions, the majority of the group safely summited and safely descended the mountain in about 6 hours. Although one of the group pressed ahead, took a wrong turn down the ranger path, and ended up 14 miles away from their finish point. Only the kindness of a local Welsh lady who offered him a lift saved him from a very long walk back to civilization. He's now affectionately referred to as the Bearded Ranger. Total raised by the Bearded Villains Wales for the Trussell Trust currently stands at 1,035 pounds this year. But as they say, this is only part of what they do to support this charity. Our brothers have donated food items directly, which and offers to help deliver to struggling families as well. Man, very cool to see. Bearded Villains Wales, great job, great work, and fantastic. Great job. We're proud of you. And that is the Villains Around the World segment for April 26th, 2024. Well, all right. You know what I'm going to do now? Let's hear, what do you say we hear a word from one of our sponsors? Whether you're navigating the rugged terrain or the great outdoors or conquering the concrete jungle of the urban landscape, Bigfoot Beard Company has you covered. Bigfoot products are made with natural ingredients designed to help maintain a rich, healthy beard without leaving it feeling greasy or heavy. From classic cologne-inspired fragrances to fruity notes and earthy tones, there's sure to be a scent for every occasion. With worldwide shipping available, why not take the opportunity to take a walk on the wild side? Head over to www.bigfootbeardco.com today to grab some great products. Again, that's bigfootbeardco.com. www.bigfootbeardco.com. All right. So we get that out of the way as well. Well, tonight, guys, I'll tell you. There's a lot of craziness going on, and I don't know how long we're going to talk about this. Hopefully not all night, because I think a lot of us in BV circles are kind of tired about talking about the negativity and the all the what's going to be going on and who's doing what and who's supporting what's supporting and all this other stuff, right? But what I basically wanted to do is remind us that for whatever is going on in BV, and I know that in the last few days we've had some chapters that apparently are no longer a part of things. We've got some others that are in limbo. We've got some brothers, very outspoken about some things that's going on. And one of the things that I've noticed is sadly, we have this situation that's developing because obviously in situations like this, tempers are rising and people get emotional because it means something to them. But what we also have to recognize is that when we are in these chat rooms texting with each other, when you're in there doing that, you lose all nuance of emotion. You lose all nuance of any kind of subtlety in your language, the way that you speak, and everything gets read with an emotional tone. No matter what you say, no matter how you intend for you to say something, somebody can take it out of context. Somebody can take it with a full boatload of emotion behind it when that's not necessarily how you intended it to be, and vice versa. And it seems like now, this past week, there's a lot of that going on. We've got brothers. There's some brothers infighting with other brothers. We got brothers, and we're going to have that. Brothers are going to fight. Brothers are going to argue. We're going to have that. Everything can't be all, peaceful, happy-go-lucky all the time. But when it gets to a personal level, when it starts to become, and it starts to feel like it's personal and there's personal attacks on some things. And I've read some messages in the last few days that kind of feel that way. And I think the important thing that I want to address is that in the end, there's a lot more that we have in common than we don't, right? And we're all part of this thing. We all found this thing that's Bearded Villains, and we all wanted to be a part of it for pretty much the same reasons. We've talked till they're blue in the face about why over the last 212 episodes, about why guys have found this brotherhood, what it means to them, what inspired it, why they are, what's their why. We did that. We've talked about that, and there's a lot of commonality in why and the thing that brought people here. But now we've got a situation that, some brothers are feeling distant. They're being as if they're left out for whatever reasons. And we could get into this whole thing before about, filling out the form, not filling out the form. Did you have questions? Did you get your questions answered? Did you, all this other stuff? But when it comes down to right now is it feels like we're getting to a point where some things are going to be final. And what I want to focus on, and what I want us to focus on, what I want everybody to try and pay attention to is pay attention to how you're saying things. And make sure that how you're saying something isn't overriding what you're saying. Big difference between the two. I used to always tell people, when I was working the street as an officer, or when I was interviewing people, or when I was talking to parents and kids for some sort of a domestic thing that was going on, I would always tell people, listen to the words that somebody is speaking, not the way that they are speaking. It's such a big deal. And I've probably mentioned it on here before, that theory, that idea to don't focus on how somebody is speaking, focus on what they are saying. Because too often emotion can cloud the words that you're trying to get across. And that's a problem, especially when you're talking about emotional subjects, because all you're going to hear is the emotion behind it. So I think for me, it's more important to focus on the words. It's more important for me to focus on the fact that regardless of what may or may not happen in regards to losing chapters, or if brothers become, unaffiliated with BV, or if whether it's by choice or their choice or someone else's choice, no matter what happens, in my eyes, I still consider them a brother. And it's important for us to make sure that we're making people feel that, right? That in the grand scheme of things, we're all brothers. And you don't have to be, in agreement all the time. And whether somebody's an active part of a chapter, whether somebody's a part of a chapter right after, if somebody's, if the chapter that, once was is no longer, it doesn't make those guys any less of a brother than they were the day before. And to me, that's important, because it's hard to say unless there's a group of men that decide, or if there's a brother that decides, I'm done with this, I don't even want to be a part of anything. And they, by their own wishes, by their own feelings, decide that they want to distance themselves from everything that is BV, including the men that they once considered brothers. We've had a few of those. But to me, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours ago, if these men were my brothers then, they're my brothers today. And so I'm not going to be holding any ill will feelings or anything like that. I can disagree with maybe how something was handled. And I think there is a bit of, I don't think this is a situation where what's going to happen and what's going on right now, what's happened already and what feels like it's going to happen, rather than I say, because I don't know. But it's one of these things where you can kind of read the writing on the wall a little bit, and you can kind of see where things might be going. But it's so frustrating, because to see our brothers arguing about something that in some people's case wasn't even in their control, but other people chose to make it so. And it's all about choices in life, and we know that. But I am convinced that there is give and take. I'm convinced that there is a lot of culpability to go around on both sides. And I don't think that if everybody looks at it from an outside perspective, I think people will realize, no matter what, if you take the emotion out of it, I think people will hopefully realize that everything on both sides of this matter, and there seems to be two sides, could have been handled better on both people's side. There's no group of people who are completely innocent in this thing. And it's a shame, because had they been really focused on club rather than both parties, both sides, if both parties and sides had been focused on club rather than personal, rather than ego, I don't think we'd be in this situation we're in today. And it's a shame. It's a shame. So, I don't know. I don't even know where to take things after this. It's just, I had no idea where I wanted to go with this, to just keep talking, about it. Papa, I know, buddy. I'm seeing Papa's comment here. He said, BP, you see me in Indiana right after I got out Chicago. Yep. Showed up and supported. Absolutely. And that's what we are. That's what we are. We're here for each other, and it doesn't matter if you're an active part of a chapter. It doesn't matter if your chapter is officially recognized. That doesn't change the fact that those men are still my brothers, and I'm still going to support them in the things that they do for their communities. I may not agree with how things have transpired, but that's not going to stop me from wanting to help support them in the things that they're doing. Because in the end, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Looks like my Pacers have just won game 2 of their series. Yay. Now I can completely focus here. So, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm reading comments in here. Rob says he wants to be caught up on what he's missed. Not a whole lot, other than the fact that I already did the Bigfoot Beard Company read, so you missed that. So, I don't know. Tough noogies on you for that. Yeah. Chef, that's true. Always 3 sides to every story. Yours, theirs, in the middle. You know, it's funny because I referred to that as slightly differently. I've always, and this is something that was told, it's a catch-all phrase. It was always a catch-all phrase when I was working the street. And I heard a senior officer say it the very first day that I was on the job at a domestic squabble that we were at. And, this goes back, 20 something years ago, when I heard him say, he told somebody there's 3 sides to every story. There's your side, his side, and the truth. That's the phrase that I've always said. There's this side, and then there's the truth. And the truth is that middle, right? Because every party is going to skew things a little bit to their side because they're going to look at it from their side. And the truth is usually somewhere in between. Not dead set in the middle, but it's a little bit of both. And that's, I think, what you have here. That's what you have here. And, yeah. I agree. So hard to listen for the intent when the inflammatory words being used sometimes. I completely agree with it. I do. And it's honestly, it's something that I think I'm a little bit more calloused to it over the years because this is one of the big, I guess, I don't know what to say benefits, but maybe it is benefits to me in my prior career. You have to build up callous to your emotions. You can't take things personally because as a cop, you get slammed, you get ridiculed, you get yelled at all the time. It's not like the life of a fireman where everybody thinks you're a hero and loves you. You get ridiculed, you get yelled at, you get called all sorts of names. And so you have to be kind of callous to that. But one of the things that I learned very early on, really, as in my first couple of years working over time, I started to realize, and I gave myself time when I was talking to somebody. If somebody was yelling and screaming at me, I tried to pull myself away from the situation a little bit, take a step back, take that 10,000-foot view and try to figure out what is this person really mad about? They're not mad just because I happen to be there, right? There's an underlying reason. And that's one of those things that I think as men, as humans, we have to look at, we have to look for. When somebody's yelling at the top of their lungs, fighting that what you would love that you stand for, or just yelling at you for no seeming apparent reason, I always take a step back and try and figure out, okay, there's a lot of emotion here, and that's what I'm hearing. But what is their real problem? What is the thing that's really bothering them? And it might be something simple, but it may not be. And so I always try to match that with a lesser tone. You can't equally match somebody who's yelling at you with further yelling, because then what's the story? What do we say? If you're yelling at me and then I yell at you, all we're going to hear is the yelling. We're never going to hear the words that are there. We're never going to hear what the message is and why things are bad. And I think a lot of that's going on right now. And I think that's unfortunate because I think that's been going on. I think we have a bunch of men with egos in this club. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. We've got type A personalities all over this place. And type A personality men have big egos. It's not to say it's a bad thing. It can be. But when you have multiple type A personalities wanting their opinions heard on top of each other, the messages get lost. And guys take offense to things very quickly. And guys don't want to hear that maybe their opinion might not be valid. So that's where we're at right now. And we're in a situation where we've already seen it in the last couple of days, and I fear that we're going to see more of it. We're going to see more chapters gone. We're going to see more brothers that are gone for whatever reason, whether it's their choice or whether they're asked to leave. And I hate to see that because I've said from day one, I would have much rather seen everybody jump in and be a part of this thing and let's start fresh. I've said for a while now that whatever was holding some chapters back from completing this form and being part of that thing, I know they said that they had questions, and it's not for me to. It was never for me to evaluate what their questions were. It was never for me to, make any kind of opinion to their questions are their own questions. They have them for whatever reason they have them. They weren't questions that I had. And so everybody, should feel like they have a voice, and they want their voice heard, and they want their questions answered. I'm a little bit saddened by the fact that I don't feel like in several cases that people with questions really pushed hard to get their answers. They just kind of sat back and were waiting for their questions to be answered. I think in some cases, not all cases. I think that there's some guys that just figured that nothing would ever happen, even though there were warning signs that there would be. And I think now that we're just in a bad situation. So it's a shame. Rob coming in here with crazy ideas again. Crazy ideas, Rob. Like you said, crazy idea time. What if we just, treated everyone with respect and stopped hiding behind ranks, chapters, and egos? God forbid we achieve something great and spread the love. You, sir, are crazy. You, sir, are crazy. Stop trying to make sense. We've talked about this. Stop it. Hey, Brian, good to see you. He's leaving my workplace. Yeah, he's leaving my office. Funny thing, when I started working again, I ended up working for a company that's housed in the same building that one of my chapter bros is in. But he drives all over Tarnation. He's driving everywhere, all across the northern part of the state for his job. But his company owns the whole bottom floor of my building. So, well, I mean, guys, I know, and some of you that came in a little bit late, I prefaced this with saying that there was probably going to be an early night. I don't know where else to take it. I don't know where we can go, other than to say that moving forward, I think in the next week, in the next couple of weeks, by summer's end, by the time we get to World Meet in August, there will be a bunch of guys that are no longer officially categorized as part of the Bearded Villain Brotherhood, and it's a shame. But I will say this: it's not going to change my opinion of them. That mere fact. It's not going to stop me from supporting them. It's not going to stop me from giving them a hug, and I hope that that's reciprocated. There's a lot of emotion going around right now, as we've talked about, and I think The unfortunate thing is sometimes that emotion clouds some judgment in some comments. And some comments are flying around in some of the chat rooms right now, commenting and making uh, and giving comments to say to allude to the fact that all of the people that decided to do this, that signed the form to agree to it, that they're just a bunch of followers and that they're just trying to kiss ass. And that's not the case, but there's people out there that feel like it is, unfortunately. And that's a narrative that I wish would end. I wish that it's an easy grab. It's an easy grab for people to say, you're just out there just riding his, you're just trying to kiss his ass. As a lot of people are saying. Well, it's not that. It's not that. I want to try to fix things from the inside, and the only way that we can fix things and make things, future-proof for the brotherhood to the best of our ability is if we're all in this together. Once we get there, then we can start building up some of the brick pieces that should have been built 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, but never were. But we can't do that from the outside. And that's why I was trying to push everybody to just take that step and just do it. Get in the door. Now you can help us rebuild. And there were chapters and brothers that just didn't want to do that. And I get it. That's their choice. And unfortunately, we'll be, building that future without them. But I just wish that the brothers that I know that some had questions, but there was nothing that you had to give up in order to have your question answered later. And that's the thing. I think that I wish that some of the brothers that really, I think, wanted to be a part of things, but yet aren't now. It's a shame. It's a shame. So, well, hey, I don't want to just sit on this topic all night and just, leave it there. Bigger and better things are coming down the road, both podcast wise, both BV wise. We've got things we're going to be doing. Spring's coming. Spring's here. We've got events that people are going to be going to. We got lots of charity things to be celebrating. So that's what we want to focus on moving forward. Let's try to focus on the positive and make sure that you're sharing stuff with me if your chapter's doing some really cool stuff. Even if your chapter's doing something that's not super cool, but it's still cool, right? If that's a thing. I want to hear about it, and I want to be able to share it because you never know who you're going to inspire. But yeah, I told you it'd be a short night tonight. It's we've lasted maybe 40 minutes. That's long enough. I don't want to just sit here and stare at a camera, when we're not doing much else. But so I apologize to those of you who are really hoping to have a great episode tonight. Yeah, it is. Some of these are going to happen. As I said, when we started the new year, I said, "Hey, we're going to have some episodes that are like this," and I'm not just going to not have an episode, or I'm not going to just push an episode longer just to make it longer. If the conversation's there and it makes sense, we'll keep it going. But I also don't want to just beat a topic to death for when we're not being progressive with it, when it's not really helping. So just stay positive as you can. Get out there and do what you can for your communities. Be there for your brothers. There's some brothers out there that are hurting with decisions that have been made, but we can still be there for them as a brother. But if you're one of those affected brothers that are out there, just keep in mind that there's a lot of brothers out there that still consider you a brother, and you don't want to shun them. You don't want to push them away, because we're still there for you. But other than that, guys, I don't have a whole lot else to say. I want you to get out there and enjoy your Friday night. Go out and have some fun. Enjoy the weekend. Do some stuff. Do some cool stuff. Find some friends, brothers, family, whatever else you can find to hang out with, to do stuff with. Yeah. I guess, hey, I'm not just going to sit here and stare at the camera. Don't have Don't have much else to say tonight, guys. I'm just going to wrap it up with that and just leave it. Episode 213, not a whole lot there. Not a whole lot of substance to episode 213, but that's okay. We're going to have that. I want to challenge you guys, as I do every week, to tell you that be the villain that the world needs you to be. Now more than ever, be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. Most important words I say every week, guys. Remember them well. It's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. Hey, until next week, guys, for episode 214, we'll have some fun with it. Take care. Stay safe.
Never underestimate the power of brotherhood. Every bro, every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro. Life